It's midnight. You're watching Nightline. I'm Brendan Wong. The top stories. Village with 10,000 residents quarantined after 6 COVID-19 cases found. And federal court rules Muslim child born out of wedlock can't carry father's name. Good morning. A Chinese woman from Wuhan who came to Malaysia last month is the 19th confirmed coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 case in Malaysia. The 39-year-old woman is the daughter of Malaysia's 16th case and a friend of the 14th confirmed case. In a statement on Thursday, Health Ministry Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the woman had arrived in Malaysia with 4 others on January the 25th. She had been placed under the People Under Investigation status after 2 of her travel partners showed symptoms of the virus and were warded at the Kuala Lumpur Hospital HKL on February the 5th and 7th. She was placed under supervision and monitoring. On Wednesday, she began displaying symptoms of fever and coughing. Medical tests conducted on her at HKL the same day showed that she tested positive for the virus. He said the woman is now placed in the isolation ward and is in stable condition. The total number of COVID-19 cases in Malaysia currently stands at 19, of which 6 are Malaysians and the rest Chinese nationals. 3 of the 19 cases have since made full recoveries and have been discharged. The remaining 16 are still being treated and are in stable condition. Tourism industry players who are impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak are expected to get a shot in the arm to help boost growth. Tourism and Culture Minister Datuk Mohammadin Ketapi said the government had taken serious note of the industry's problems, including loss of income and profit following the temporary ban against tourists from China.
Losing of income, profit, all this kind of thing. Now we are still taking more information on that one. Then, of course, we'll be coming to assist the industry players through stimulus packages to assist them.
The minister was speaking at a media conference after the launch of the Pacific Asia Travel Association, PATA's Adventure Travel Martin Conference in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah on Thursday. He was responding to a question whether the government would provide a stimulus package following the tourism players' call for the government to step in and assist them during these tough times. One of the problems faced by the tourism players, Datuk Mohammadin said, involved the hotel industry, which was experiencing a decline of between 10 and 30%. He also said Malaysia's target for 2020 tourist arrivals would remain at 30 million. Vietnam on Thursday has placed 10,000 people under quarantine after 6 COVID-19 cases were discovered in a cluster of villages, the first such lockdown outside China. This brings the total confirmed cases in the country to 16. According to the Health Ministry, the Son Loi farming region in the Vinh Phuc province, about 40 kilometers from Hanoi, will be locked down for 20 days. It is understood that the confirmed cases in the region all originated from a female worker who was sent to Wuhan in central China, where the virus originated for training. The disease then spread to her family and her neighbors, including a 3-month-old baby. However, the female worker has now fully recovered and has been discharged from hospital, while the others remain in stable condition. Police, meanwhile, warned people wanting to enter quarantined area that while they would be allowed in, they would not be able to leave. Meanwhile, China's official death toll from the new coronavirus spiked dramatically on Thursday after authorities changed their counting methods, fueling concern the epidemic is far worse than being reported. The jump raised the death toll to 1,355 and the total number of nationwide infections to nearly 60,000. According to the National Health Commission, the hard-hit central province of Hubei reported 242 deaths in the past 1 day and 14,840 new patients, by far its biggest one-day tally since the crisis erupted last month. The government explained that the spike was due to a change in how cases are tabulated, which means that the total figure will now include clinically diagnosed cases, after rising numbers of residents complained about the difficulty in getting tested and treated for the virus. In the meantime, Japan said on Thursday it would allow some elderly passengers off a quarantine cruise ship and into government-designated lodging, as another 44 people have tested positive for the coronavirus, bringing the total confirmed cases to 218. According to authorities, the large majority of those newly infected with the virus were elder people, with 40 of the 44 being 70 or older. As of Thursday, the number of confirmed cases in Japan, including passengers and crew members from the ship, is at 247. China has been resolute in making decisions to contain the COVID-19 outbreak to ensure it did not spread outside affected major cities. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad held a phone conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday, with both sides expressing confidence in China's victory in fighting the epidemic. According to Xinhua News Agency, during the phone conversation, Xi pointed out that China not only takes the responsibility for the health of its people, but also contributes to the cause of global public health, which has been fully recognized by the World Health Organization and other countries in the world. The Chinese government, he added, had taken strict measures to curb the virus, and treatment methods continue to see breakthroughs. The abandoned unrestricted reading material in the digital arena can be a source of fake news and other content that can destroy society. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, who is acting Education Minister, said this is where the government and everyone else face the challenge of having to differentiate between the truth and the fake, and to determine whether the content was derived from research or concocted to one's whims and fancies.
Pengaruh digital kepada masyarakat begitu besar sehingga sumber pembacaan tradisional seperti surat khabar dan buku-buku semakin diketepikan. Namun begitu, ini tidak bermakna rakyat sudah berhenti membaca. Yang berubah ialah sumber pembacaan.
He said this in his speech at the launch of the National Reading Decade at University Kebangsaan Malaysia in Bangi, Selangor. Tun Dr. Mahathir added, the digital era has made it easy to spread fake news and content which were detrimental to society. In a majority ruling by the federal court on Thursday, a Muslim child born out of wedlock in Johor will have his father's name, bin Abdullah, removed from his birth certificate. At the same time, the court also reversed the previous ruling that allowed the father's name to be part of the boy's name. It was 4 against 3 judges on the federal court panel that voted against the child to carry his father's name. Court of Appeal President Datuk Rohana Yusof read out the ruling, saying that the child's name will remain in the birth certificate without the father's name, as it was of the view that Malays do not have a surname, and that a law allowing fathers to request for their surnames to be registered as the child's surname does not apply to Malays. This child was born less than 6 months after the parents' marriage, which is seen as being illegitimate under Sharia law. In 2017, the Court of Appeal had previously applied under the Births and Deaths Registration Act to the Johor child's case and said the father should have been allowed to attach his name to the child's name. A new twist emerged at Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's corruption trial, when a defence witness disputed claims that the former Prime Minister was seeking financial aid from the Saudis to finance the 2013 general election. Former Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Anifah Aman, when testifying on Thursday, said it was the late King Abdullah Abdulaziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia who had offered a financial donation to Datuk Sri Najib's administration. Datuk Sri Anifah was the 6th defence witness testifying in Datuk Sri Najib's SRC international trial. In his witness statement, Datuk Sri Anifah said the event transpired during an unofficial meeting between Malaysian delegates led by Datuk Sri Najib and King Abdullah at the latter's palace 10 years ago. Datuk Sri Anifah said Datuk Sri Najib then had asked him of his opinion on the financial donation being transferred to his bank account, to which he assured Datuk Sri Najib that it was acceptable since it would be used for corporate social responsibility and political purposes. It was earlier reported that a former minister in the Prime Minister's department, Datuk Sri Jamil Kil Baharum, had testified that the Najib administration had sought financial aid from Saudi Arabia during an official visit to Riyadh. Meanwhile, document expert Dr. Stephen Strach, who was appointed by the defence, has been examining the disputed exhibits, which include meeting minutes and bank transfer instruction letters containing Datuk Sri Najib's signatures. It is likely that Strach has completed his examination of the documents based on the previous indication that he will only be allowed 2 days to examine the exhibits. The defence also told the court that the expert's report will be ready by February the 26th. Datuk Sri Najib is facing 7 charges of misappropriating 42 million ringgit in SRC, a former subsidiary of 1MDB. He faces up to 20 years of imprisonment if convicted of the offence. Meanwhile, former Education Ministry Secretary General Tan Sri Dr. Madinah Mohamad told the High Court on Thursday that the ministry received pressure from several individuals to expedite the process of approving the solar hybrid project for 369 schools in Sarawak. Tan Sri Dr. Madinah said that among the individuals were Datin Sri Rosmah herself and her former aide, Datuk Rizal Mansor. Tan Sri Dr. Madinah, who is the prosecution's 6th witness, said this happened sometime in 2016 when she attended a Permata Negara program officiated by Datin Sri Rosmah. Tan Sri Dr. Madinah is the 2nd prosecution witness to independently verify that Datin Sri Rosmah directly asked for the solar hybrid project to be hurried. Tan Sri Dr. Madinah said she was further pressured by Datin Sri Rosmah's aide, Datuk Rizal Mansor, as well as Jepak Saidi and his business partner Ryan Rapswil Abdullah. The trial before Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan continues on Monday. Still to come on Nightline. Elderly woman's leg impaled in attempt to climb over spiked gate. Details next. Welcome back. The human remains from Nia Cave, currently in Florida, USA, are expected to be brought back to Sarawak next month for public viewing. Over 100 human bones found in the Nia Cave and the surrounding areas were taken to the USA decades ago for scientific research. Sarawak Tourism, Arts, Culture, Youth and Sports Minister Datuk Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah said the study had been completed and it was time for the remains to return home.
Masa itu, late 50s, akhir 50-an sehingga awal 60-an, di Sarawak ni dia tak ada universiti lagi, tak ada pusat-pusat yang mana boleh membuat penyelidikan dan sebagainya. Jadi kerjasama telah dibuat oleh pihak Museum Sarawak dengan Universiti Nevada di Amerika Serikat untuk siasatan dibuat terhadap tulang-tulang manusia tersebut.
More than 200 skeletons were discovered near the western entrance of the Nia Caves, a national park in the Miri division of the state. The limestone caves are believed to contain evidence of the oldest recorded human settlement in East Malaysia, with human activity dating back to 46,000 years ago. More than 100 human bones are planned to be exhibited at the Sarawak Museum complex after renovation works are completed at the end of this year. Meanwhile, Datuk Abdul Karim said efforts are now being undertaken to gazette the Nia Caves National Park as another World Heritage Site in the state. In Sabah, General Operations Force GOF personnel has been reported missing following a collision between a passenger boat and another boat in the waters of the Sandakan Central Market Thursday morning. Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA spokesman Sandakan Zone Lieutenant Commander Muhammad Hafiz Muhammad Tajuddin said the incident occurred when a boat carrying 37 people, including the skipper from Kampung Tanjung Aru, collided with the boat that was towing a smaller boat. In the 6 a.m. incident, the victim, Asman Ongkal, 40, who was also in the passenger boat with his family, disappeared while trying to rescue passengers from the boat which had capsized. 15 people have been sent to the Duchess of Kent Hospital, of which 3, including the 30-year-old skipper, are in critical condition. Muhammad Hafid said a search and rescue operation covering an area of 2 nautical miles was being carried out by other agencies such as the Royal Malaysian Police, the Malaysian Fire and Rescue Department and the Civil Defence Force. Kuala Lumpur police have seized 1.23 million ringgit worth of drugs and crippled 2 syndicates in separate raids around the capital on Monday and Tuesday. Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Sri Mazlan Lazim said 4 local men aged between 22 and 40 who have been actively distributing drugs have also been arrested. In the first raid at a petrol station along the Kuala Lumpur-Karak highway at about 6:15 p.m, shabu weighing 56 grams was seized. That led to the subsequent raid at a condominium in Cheras the same day, where police recovered 15,000 Eramin 5 pills and 6.68 kilograms of shabu. In the second case on the same day, another syndicate was crippled with the seizure of 1,000 Eramin 5 pills and 19.29 grams of ketamine.
Dan kita dapati bahawa kegiatan mereka ni, kumpulan mereka ni bergiat dalam 3 ke 4 bulan aktif di kawasan tersebut.
The 4 suspects who tested positive for drugs have been remanded for 7 days to facilitate the probe. In Sarawak, a 72-year-old woman was impaled in her right thigh by a spike at the top of her aluminium house gate in Cebu after she tried to climb over it. According to the Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department, the woman's son had stowed away the keys to the gate to prevent her from going out of their house located at Batu Barat. The son said his mother was suffering from dementia, and when she went out of the house previously, she could not remember her way home. In order to free the woman, firefighters had to take out part of the gate using a hydraulic cutter. She was later rushed to the Cebu hospital for treatment. After this break, Indonesia's Mount Merapi erupts once again. Don't go away. The foreign segment. The United Nations Human Rights Office has issued a report on companies it said have business ties to illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank, a long-delayed move likely to draw the ire of Israel and its main ally, the United States. In a statement on Wednesday, the UN body said it identified a list of 112 business entities which it has reasonable grounds to conclude have ties with Israeli settlements. 94 of them domiciled in Israel, while another 18 in 6 other countries. It is understood that the list includes a number of well-known international companies such as Motorola Solutions, General Mills, TripAdvisor and Airbnb of the United States. In its report, the UN office said the company's activities had raised particular human rights concerns such as supplying equipment and materials used in housing construction, as well as utilities to support infrastructure, and of surveillance equipment and the use of natural resources, in particular water and land. The revelation has been hailed by campaign groups as a significant step forward in their efforts to make sure big business respect international law. Indonesia's Mount Merapi, one of the world's most active volcanoes, has erupted on Thursday with fiery red molten lava streaming down from the crater and clouds of grey ash belched 2,000 meters into the sky. Authorities have so far not raised the rumbling volcano's alert status after the early morning eruption, but advised commercial planes to take caution in the area. Any activity at Merapi, however, raises concern, and local residents were ordered to stay outside the 3-kilometer no-go zone around the rumbling crater near Indonesia's cultural capital of Yogyakarta. According to the Volcanology and Geographical Hazard Mitigation Center, volcanic ash also rained down on a 10-square-kilometer area. Mount Merapi's last major eruption in 2010 killed more than 300 people and forced the evacuation of some 280,000 residents. And over in Brazil, continuous heavy rain has killed at least 5 people in Sao Paulo on Thursday, with over 1,300 people transferred to shelters in 22 affected cities. According to authorities, the heavy rain, which started on February the 9th in the state of Sao Paulo, also caused floods, landslides, road damage and trapped people across the area. Among them, the state capital Sao Paulo and the greater Sao Paulo area were the worst affected. Dozens of schools were also closed in these areas, and public institutions and traffic ceased to function. At present, Sao Paulo has resumed normal production and life, but the heavy rain has dealt a severe blow to the city's economy. Harrif Saleh wins penultimate stage of the LTDL. Stay tuned. Sport cycling, the 2020 Le Tour de Langkawi. Malaysian rider Muhammad Harrif Saleh continued his smashing performance as he picked up his second stage win in the race by winning the 7th stage on Wednesday, involving a distance of 130.4 kilometers from Dewan Datuk Haji Abdullah Badawi in Bagan to Menara Alostar on Thursday. The 31-year-old Kuala Terengganu-born rider was declared the winner by the chief judge after the race ended with the bunch sprint to the finish line. Italian sprinter Matteo Palucci of Bardiani, CSF Faizani, and the Ara Pro Racing Sunshine Coast rider Taj Jones came in second and third respectively. The chief judge also awarded the same time of 2 hours 53 minutes and 18 seconds to the top 10 finishers. The victory saw Muhammad Harrif Saleh, better known as Mamat among his teammates, emerge as the best Malaysian rider in the LTDL history by securing 3 stage wins. However, despite the triumph, it was still not enough to snatch the yellow jersey from Danilo Celano of Team Sapura Cycling, who still remained in the lead in the general classification standings with a 26-second advantage over the white jersey holder Yevgeny Fedorov of Vino Astana Motor. The last stage will commence on Friday from Dataran Lang to Kua, covering 108.5 kilometers. And before we wrap up this edition of Nightline, let's take a look at what has been installed on the front pages of Malaysia's main newspapers today, Friday, February the 14th. The New Straits Times features the tragic story of a Malaysian student being evicted from his Aussie home over COVID-19 fears. While Malaysia's best-selling Malay daily Harian Metro tells the tale of a man teaching the Quran despite being bedridden. Berita Harian highlights federal court's ruling that Muslim child conceived out of wedlock cannot use a father's name. And a report on the decline of tourist arrivals in Malacca following the COVID-19 outbreak gets the front page of the Malaysian Reserve. Do get your copies. And that's it all for Nightline. In Sweden, 6-time rally champion Sebastian Ogier recorded the fastest time in the shakedown ahead of the main event, clocking 4.01 minutes, 0.1 seconds ahead of Toyota teammate Alfyn Evans. We leave you with the highlights. I'm Brandon Wong. Thank you for tuning in and take care.